Welcome to another edition of Dungeons and Social Distancing with Nerdarchy.
Today we talk about D&D rules, rule of cool. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdcast Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Want more videos on D&D rules in your YouTube feed? Then click that subscribe button.
But if you not only want D&D videos, but Nerdarchy videos, you'll need to attune to that notification bell.
You may notice this video is different than our normal content and how we shot it. And that is because, well, we are quarantined currently and observing the best practices from the CDC, and we are social distancing from each other. So we'll get back to our normal filming methods as soon as it's allowed and we can. We want to stay safe, and we want you to stay safe as well. With that, we're going to jump into our video. And as usual, we do have a sponsor. I want to thank Dungeon Fog for sponsoring this video. If you need a map making tool, this is the way to go. They have various different ways you can sign up for it. You can sign up for free. You can sign up for the paid subscription, or you can sign up for a commercial subscription if you want to take those maps and put them into D&D products or RPG products. There are so many great features over there. Now that we're all social distancing and playing on VTTs or Theater of the Mind, taking those beautiful maps that you can make in Dungeon Fog and putting them up and showing them to your players, you're going to benefit from this software more than ever. It's easy to use, it's intuitive, looks gorgeous, feels like when I was a kid drawing on graph paper again.
But that's not all. Dungeon Fog has loads of maps that are already pre-made, so even if you're a novice at map making, you'd be able to go in, select the library, use what's already there, or take what's there and make some changes so it's your own. It's a whole library to choose from. You gotta check it out.
All right, so let's jump into the content. Ted, what is the rule of cool?
Rule is cool is when a player, wants to do something, and it might be either against what the rules say, or there is no rule for it. But what's going to happen could be really cool, or is going to make a great story. So you as the DM say, you know what, I'm going to allow that, or I'm going to give it a chance, and you let the player either do it or make a die roll to see whether or not that is possible. And those are the kind of things that, those stories are what players are going to remember. It's going to get shared. It's going to get talked about for, a long time thereafter.
New players are notorious for trying to use the rule of cool without even knowing what it is. They're like, I want to stab the monster in their jugular, or I want to slice its eyes, or I want to use my pole arm as a pole vault and drop kick the monster. So a lot of these things don't actually work in the rules, but you could be like, okay, you know what? You can try and do this called shot and add a layer of difficulty. And if they're successful, something happens, something cool, it gets added to the scene. For instance, they go for the drop kick and that you may have them make an athletics check versus the monster and they beat it. So, maybe they just do a tiny bit of damage, but they knock the monster prone. So if they have a follow-up attack, they now get advantage on it. But something cool happened because they said they wanted to try a thing. And you as the DM didn't just shoot them down because there isn't a rule for it, or maybe even breaks the rules a little bit. You said, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
A lot of the things that you're going to see in your, pirate swashbuckling movies, fall into these realms of, crazy, insane options. And when you're really looking at those things, like, okay, maybe it's athletics, maybe it's acrobatics, but you aren't certain as to how that would apply or where that would apply. A simple like, okay, well, you can give it a shot, you can see whether it happens, and you as a DM, you can make that call of, okay, well, you set a difficulty, you have them make a skill roll, and voila, they either pulled it off or didn't. And sometimes some of the best stories are, both sides of that coin. Oh my God, I can't believe you did this thing here. And oh my God, I can't believe you tried to do this. And this hilarity followed, when you, fell off the ship and, fell off the rope and, landed flat on your face on the deck and the monster stabbed you and so on and so forth. You can do all of this craziness or give the players the chance of doing crazy.
The idea, though, is to have something spectacular happen, whether they succeed or whether they fail. Perhaps there's a chandelier, one of those big wagon wheel style chandeliers with the rope, and they're like, I want to cut the rope and, drop the chandelier on the enemies and, then drop on them or something, right? And you're like, sure, you can try that and make a roll. And, you can dexterity, intelligence, whatever you decide they need to do, make it a skill. They foul the roll. oh, they cut the rope too high. So when they fly up into the air, they actually run out of rope and slam into the ceiling. Maybe the thing they want it to happen still does, but they also take damage for hitting the ceiling, and then they have to make another check to not fall to the ground and take falling damage and be prone. So it, like, you can even have circumstances where it worked, but it didn't as well. But the idea is that you're going to add more fun to the game.
All right. So, what about when the rule of cool goes too far? How do we know when somebody is kind of pushing their luck, or, kind of pushing the rule of cool too much?
So this can happen a couple of different ways. One, it could just be a player trying to abuse the generosity of the GM. I like to think a lot of times that's not the case. It's just they think they're doing cool things, but it's a little bit too far. For instance, I've seen a veteran player say, hey, why can't I cut the hand off of my enemy, while we're fighting, instead of just following the normal rules for D&D, right? It'd be one thing if they're like, hey, can I knock that item out of their hand? But no, they're like, can I just lop off the hand, right? And it sounds like a great idea, maybe even fun. But what happens when you as the DM start lopping off the players' hands, right? The players will run out of hands way before the DM ever does. That becomes a problem. Or they do things that are, yes, in this situation sounds cool and in the spirit of the game. I tried to slice its jugular open. I'm going to stab them in the eyes. Well, the truth of the matter is you're always trying to slice the jugular open, and you're always going for the eyes. Matter of fact, when you incapacitate an enemy or kill them outright, you've probably gotten the jugular or got them in their eyes, right? That's what going to 0 hit points are. So you have to draw that distinction of, are you bending and breaking the rules for more fun, or are you doing it in a way that kind of breaks the game?
So I think that's a stellar point. But to sum it up is, while it's cool for you as the player to do all of the stuff to the monster, if you're a player watching this, or if you're the DM, like the thing to look at is, would you want the monsters doing it to the players? If the answer is no, then that is probably something that is going beyond the rule of cool. Now, I know some players are like, oh, well, I don't have a problem if my hand gets cut off. I've got a cool story I can do with this and do with that. Well, for certain people, yeah, but you don't want to get blinded. You don't want to be missing limbs. These are debilitating effects that wind up happening to your players. So definitely, be cautious about, using this rule of cool and allowing it to go too far.
Yeah, that's kind of stuff that should be really rare and very pivotal in the game that you're playing. It should have a lot of significance, which it would be cool. But again, the rule of cool should never become a mundane part of your game, right? It's not like there could be sessions that go by where it doesn't actually come up. But maybe it happens a lot in one session and not at all for the next 3. It all really depends. It's one of those things. You'll know it when you see it, I think, for the most part.
I think that that's absolutely stellar point. So in the end, using the rule of cool, how or why does this make the games better?
It feels like you're playing in a more open world when you don't have to be constantly defined in your actions by the strict set of rules. When the DM is always letting you try things that aren't necessarily specified in the rules, or maybe even go slightly against the rules. But when you do it in a way that has consequences, both good and bad, it really does work. And it makes your games feel a lot more dynamic.
That's, it's a great point. These dynamic moments are going to, for those who have the ability to visualize what's actually unfolding, you get these great, as you might want to call them, movie moments, where you've got the ability to be like, oh my God, I can totally see our rogue swinging from the chandelier, trying to knock it down on the orc who's attacking. Oh my God, that's hysterical. But you've got these moments, and it turns into stories that, go on and on, through the lives of these, not the characters, but the players. Dave and I have been gaming together for a very long time, and we have stories that, we will always remember, some good, some bad, that have happened throughout our games, because for the most part, we really dig the rule of cool, and, we allow it in our games.
Yeah, if you're a GM and you haven't really been doing this, I recommend you try it. You can add it a little bit at a time, see how it goes, and at the end of the day we're just playing a game. So if some things don't work out and you learn some lessons, good and bad, that's okay, because you're just going to get better as a GM and your games will improve overall, and I believe, from doing this.
So if you enjoyed this rules video, then you can check out the banned D&D rules should the Dungeon Master do it.
If you enjoyed this content, you can support us over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month.
Over there, we create monthly D&D content. We do monthly giveaways that our patrons are automatically in. We do weekly patron-only live chats and more.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.